Alrighty guys, welcome back to Birthright and a look at a domain here for the Brecht setting here. Again, we're calling it the Brecht setting, but really from Havens of the Great Bay. So we're starting with the western reaches here of the setting. We'll have a separate intro video on that first, but we just want to get a domain out since it's been a long time since we've covered a domain. So Danigau is considered neutral. It is recommended for PC use, so players can, of course, run this. So one of the few remaining dynasties in Brechtur, the Danig family has ruled this realm since about 200 years before Deismar, so quite some time. The rocky, unforgiving geography has helped to shape its people. So you got quite a few provinces here, and of pretty decent size for the most part. A lot of 4s in here, even 1-5 for the more capital area. Laws under the ruler's control here. You got a couple different religions going on and some different guild activity, and really just one wizard making their home here. So ED for Eric Danig, current count. DW, Darold Wolkerns, that's Sarah's perfect symmetry, so it's religion there. WH, the White Hand, Kristal's temple, we'll get to that. Guild activity, IR's Ilse Redbeter, Burgundy Tolsted, and VR is Volse Redbeter, so Burgundy Slepsid, so some things going on there. And the source is actually Eric Danig once again, but we'll get into that. So, Law, Eric Danig, the character himself, is a level 11 wizard, which is, again, super powerful in this setting, since it's generally a little bit lower on magic. Has a great bloodline, lawful neutral. He's the Count of Danigau, rules all of Danigau as if it were an empire. Despite his sorceress training, in his breast beats the heart of a military man, and his somewhat draconian laws have kept the realm safe from the Urgazai goblins and the pirates of the Great Bay. So lots of great enemies to cover once we really jump into the setting. So, and really expanding again on from Anawir. Temples. Sarah's perfect symmetry clings to what little religious observation still exists in Danigau. Although 90% of the realm citizenry attend regular services at the Symmetry, or of the Symmetry, most are casual followers at best. Fortunately, though, the Count sees the Symmetry as a useful tool, so devotion has risen slightly over the last decade, but that could be an opportunity for someone wanting to take that domain on. Out on the Eastern Spur, however, a secret cult to Kristal, the Ice Lady, threatens to infect the spiritual well-being of Danigau. So the Voss priest, or the Voss, not priestess, but the evil Voss goddess. We'll get into that. And check out other video series on the deities of the setting, so then you'll get some information on that. Guild activity here. So you got Ilse and Volse, so some guilders here, not necessarily thieves. Maybe brother and sister, but there's no love lost between the mining and shipping guilds. Ilse does hold the Count's attention, as well as his ear, before he married, but a scandal developed after his honeymoon, and then this cooled their friendship. So the most recent blow to the mining guild comes from an unexpected surprise. Against all precedents, Eric Danigau has given Volse permission to build, staff, and own his own ships instead of leasing them from Danigau's fleet, as had been the practice for many years. So some potential internal conflict brewing there. Now, sources, fortunately, this is one of those times where you are running the realm, but you also have a secondary source of ability. So sometimes, if you're running the realm, but also the guilds, or you're a priest and you have sort of doubling up on things, here you're a wizard, actually, as a ruler of a major sized realm. So you control all the source holdings in the land, and you've already brutally quelled 2 attempts by rival wizards who've tried to move in on your territory. Every province in this realm is linked by a ley line to the Count's most powerful source in Kansmach. So, yeah, nice to not have competition there. But that doesn't mean that if people have tried it twice, that there couldn't be potential future rival wizards. Now, if you're starting this realm, you actually have quite a bit of sort of starting, not just territory, but just starting resources. So some of the realms we looked at when we were covering it, we are pretty threadbare and really need a lot of work to get started and become powerful. You're actually starting with a lot here. So Regency generated and accumulated, so 51 and 102 respectively. That is a load right there. The Count receives RP as a vassalage from all the regents of the realm. The total number of RP received varies depending on current demands, but it's always at least 15, so you have that too, which is awesome. Massive treasury, 77 gold bars, like, wow. You're starting off super wealthy here. The Count receives a total tribute of 12 from each turn as well, from, again, the other regions of the realm. So really, yeah, there might be bickering here and there between the guilds and the temples, potentially, and all that stuff. But the fact that you're getting Regency and gold as tribute in those quantities, that's a lot. Those numbers there are even like where some realms start at or hope to be at just after, having to start and fix things. Like here, you're just getting that as tribute on top of what you're doing already. So that's awesome stuff there. Army, pretty decent size here, not overpowered, but enough to deal with the threats. So the Count is always in preparation for war with the goblins of Urga Zai and cannot trust his neighbors to the south to hold off the Gorgon forever. Yeah, you don't border the Gorgon directly, but you're still relatively close if the Gorgon wanted to go on a rampage in that direction. So you do have 3 Danigau units, elite infantry. You have 3 Blackgate Stormlords, so knights, 2 artillery actually, and then 4 regular infantry. And you have a pretty decently sized navy, 4 round ships, and 2 cogs. Again, we'll get into the whole naval expansion thing in a whole separate series of videos. But you have quite a bit of stuff here, and certainly with that treasury, should you need to fend off an invasion, you can spend the money to get quite a lot more units or mercenaries. But also, should you really want to deal with some of the other maybe problem neighbors a little bit, like the goblins, for example, you could maybe make that a major focus of sort of a campaign over a few years or things like that. So, by law, every adult in Danigau must be trained in the use of weapons and small unit tactics. As a result, you can raise normal infantry units at the same cost as levies, which is awesome. Though those infantry units will fight effectively as infantry for only 1 domain turn at a time. If they're maintained for longer than 1 domain turn, or any 3 action rounds, then they have to drop down to levies. But that's still pretty cool that, cost-wise, you can raise a whole bunch of just regular infantry, and then should it be a longer conflict, yeah, they'll drop down to levy. But hopefully by then you've solved the conflict. So he's been Count of Danigau for many years, if you want to play as him as the actual character or somebody new in the family. But he remains in his prime and recently married Catherine Gowron. So she is a level 1 fighter, but still a very respectable bloodline. Her family once ruled the former realm of Gaurenstadt, which is now the Rurik domain of Hjorig. Rumors of an heir on the way are not considered premature, so again, could be some potential trouble and conflict brewing there, but also some opportunities for the realm. Now, again, there's a lot of information here on the domain. So important NPCs, there's a lot going on. The Countess of Danigau, Catherine Gowron Danig, remains the most beautiful lady in the realm. Although nearly a decade younger than her husband, she still remembers tales of her homeland. She does not hate the Rurik, however. She sees Cerilia as a brutal, demanding world in which only strength can preserve beauty and nobility. So as a result, she respects her husband greatly, though she may not necessarily love him deeply. So the 2 guildmasters of the realm, again, the brothers and sisters Redbiter, have no respect for each other and fear the Count. Both grew up as lieutenants to their mother, the former guildmaster, who believed they could become partners when she retired. However, that wasn't to be. They tolerated each other only while the mother was still alive, but then things kind of turned sour. So, still, both recognize each other's talents. Ilse, having spent long years in the mines, can spot a hidden vein of valuable ore better than most dwarves, and her Balsa's trading experience surpasses all but the most conniving merchants. Since Ilse needs her brother to ship her iron, coke, and copper south and around the bay to market, and Volsa needs something to fill its holds, they work together. Still, they can't resist the urge to basically badmouth each other in front of the Count. So, then the description here. So, lots of good stuff. Danigau holds its own, so that phrase in ancient High Brecht appears on their coat of arms. And the Count doesn't believe in the conquest of lesser peoples, which is fortunate for some of their neighbors because they're definitely not as powerful as this realm. Only in defense of his own. So even the goblins can't goad him into a fruitless genocidal war. But again, it doesn't have to necessarily be an all-out war, but, if they keep poking the bear long enough, maybe, you kind of change your tune a little bit and maybe you take over one of their provinces or something like that. But instead, he has a talent for making them pay when they cross his borders. So it really just depends on how you want to take it, but that's kind of been the way that this character's been built up. But you could maybe have a change of heart. Maybe something happens, like, the goblins or the Ririk cause some issues with his wife, or maybe the child, the parent child to be. Maybe there's a kidnapping or something, right? Great adventure and conflict hooks. The country does not rely only on trade for subsistence. The Count has made certain of that. So he sponsors educational journeys for all of his noble sons and daughters to visit Muden, Darren, Wirach, and Gravesmühl, but does not encourage new settlers in his domain. So it's kind of, in that sense, more inward-looking as a domain. The fishermen of Danigau work for their realm, as do the small farms. The common people, however, are rewarded well for their efforts, and Danigau, among all the Brecht lands, has the highest percentage of what some may even call a middle class, right? Which shocking for a medieval fantasy setting. So the cities, Blackgate continues to be the only large city in Danigau, and basically is a fortress city. So complete with 4 sets of outer walls, so it tells you kind of what the focus is there militarily. Blackgate relies on no outside support to feed or clothe its populace. Because of the thriving mines and the vigorous ship trade, many luxuries are available to the city dwellers, but they do pay for that with some pretty high taxes. But again, the taxes do bring the security. Allies. Now, the Count does keep good relations with the other noble houses of Brechter, so Muden and Berhagen most notably. Wirach, the weak neighbor to the south, might someday become a protectorate and could be a way of expanding without necessarily going into like all-out conflict, but could be another source of tribute, although that does bring in closer proximity to the Gorgon. Now, enemies, there are plenty. Most notably, as we've seen here, the Urgazai. Humanoids have sworn to obliterate your realm and spear the Count's head on their standard, so that could, again, as I said, if you poke the bear long enough, maybe you have a change of heart and, hey, we're just going to solve this problem once and for all. But they have not set one clawed foot inside the country without paying a terrible price. Kvigmar and Hjolvar, the Ririk domains to the north, had a history of invading the Brecht borderland, but no recent enmity exists. But again, things change, or could change. The Count of Danigau supported the invasion of Grebentod by the Royal Marines of Muden, but pays little attention to that fractured realm anymore. So plenty of things closer at home to deal with. Now, a couple special considerations as well. So Catherine, the wife here, possesses a necklace known as Brenna's Favor that increases her bloodline by 25 points beyond that number listed earlier, and does grant her a special secret blood ability. She faked the theft of this necklace a number of years ago, but actually retains possession of it. Attempts to steal it were becoming more and more frequent and bold, despite laws dictating that thieves caught in Danigau are thrown to the Kraken. She instigated the ruse to safeguard the heirloom, and she does hide this jewelry under her clothing when attending state functions. While the Count doesn't wish to stir up the Urgazai humanoids or the Gorgon, though, he offers a standing reward for information on their activities. So, misinformation, though, presented in the form of intelligence, is considered the same as stealing, and then the same penalty. So, not something that you want to do. But so there's a lot going on in the realm. It's definitely, again, a powerful one, certainly, starting off the series here. You have fantastic economy, regency generation, decently enough sized army to start out with. Certainly can grow that by leaps and bounds with the again, the sheer amount of money you have, and same thing for the Navy should that become an issue. So you got some big things to consider domestically. It's really just some internal squabbling for the most part, it seems. Again, depending on how the DM would want to take things here with the spouse and her history, and either attempts on her life, intermingling with the Brecht here as far as maybe them getting the need, or not getting the need, but figuring out if they want to maybe revisit some earlier enmities. But it's mainly dealing with the goblins, it seems like, right? Some occasional piracy on the coasts, and then, just anytime the Gorgon does anything, right, everybody kind of has to bear the brunt of that. So, but then also figuring out what to do with your neighbor to the south, which again will make more sense when we cover that domain. So just many different ways you could take it. You kind of, you could go westward in your expansion, north, south, and obviously, increase your navy as well. But definitely, you have a nice boon here in the fact that you're not contested at all in your law. So you are the sort of the iron fist as far as that goes. You also happen to be a wizard if you're running the Count as is. So then you also are the unquestioned ruler of, or master of the magic of the realm. So as far as realm spells and things go. So it really just depends on how you want to really develop the realm, if you want to stay more sort of internally focused, or if you want to maybe deal with some of these sort of conflicts that have kind of been there, but not necessarily overly challenged you as you've kind of handled them in recent years. So some interesting ways it could go. Definitely the difference in age between the count and his wife, that could come into play some way as well, especially if there is an impending heir along the way. How does that affect people's attitudes towards them as rulers, given her history, things like that? Could there be an attempt on kidnapping her or the necklace she has or their newborn? So there's just lots of different ways that could play out and maybe push the count in one direction or another. But that's all for a crafty DM to decide, and how the player really wants to take this realm. So let us know your thoughts. This has definitely been a long one, but it's also a lot of information here. So let us know your thoughts on Danigau, if you've played that, and how you have done that in your campaign, how that's worked out overall, what the focus was. So like, comment, subscribe, and you want to support the channel a little bit more, also check out our Patreon. So again, you get to decide on ways, directions that the channel takes. So like this Birthright series here on the Brecht realms was made by some of our patrons who voted in a couple of polls. But then also, you'll get early access to a lot of different videos and content as well. So lots of great stuff there. Discord as well, among other things. So hope you enjoyed, guys, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.